Hello and welcome to the video. Today we're painting up the Necrotech Wraithriders, which is a squad in the Revna's Rebuke for Heroscape Age of Annihilation. I gotta say, these are some great looking miniatures. I like the robotic cyborg part of them, almost like the skin has a dead look to it. So I'm excited to get these guys painted up. This time around, I'm going to batch paint all three at once, so you'll see me kind of changing miniatures in and out. But with that, let's get started. I first start off by priming them black, and for the skin, I'm going to come in with this Corpse Pale. Now I want the skin to, as I said earlier, the skin to me has almost like a dead look to it, so I want it nice and pale, and then we're going to kind of do a wash over it to get that bluish green tinge to it. So I'm just putting down this base coat over all of the skin area. I'm not being super careful, but I'm not being really sloppy either, because a lot of this is going to be dark and metallic, so any kind of corrections that we need to make at this point will be pretty easy. I have to say, I really enjoy painting these Heroscape miniatures. They're very interesting, but they're not overly complicated. Most models only have about like 3 basic colors, or 3 major colors I should say, but they look great and they're just fun to paint. I'm using rough iron to paint the balls that these guys roll around on. In the card art, it looked like it was a darker metallic sphere that they're using, so that's why I went with this rough iron. It just has a nice dark color to it. For the vast majority of the metallic parts, I'm using plate mail metal, and I'm just going to paint this over all of the connecting cables, the chains, the graspers, the chain or the blades that they have. Mostly all of the metallic parts are getting painted this. And this is it's one of the brighter silvers that I have, so it does a really nice job of covering this. For this, I'm being kind of careful. I don't want to mess up the skin too much, because since it's a lot lighter, any time that we need to make corrections on it, it's just going to be a little tougher to correct them. So I try to be just a little bit more careful than what I usually am with this one. And these miniatures, they're not difficult to paint, but they're a little tedious. Like, there's a lot of different parts on here that you have to go through and make sure that you get everything. The worst part about them is it just takes a little bit of time to make sure that you get all of the different parts. For the heads on these guys, I'm coming in with Hoplite Gold, which is a speed paint. The card art to me looked a little more metallic than just plain yellow. Now, I've seen a lot of people paint theirs yellow, and I know that the pre-painted set comes with these parts painted yellow, but I thought it just to be a little bit different, I would use this bright gold, and I think it works out well. And of course, again, I love this Speed Paints gold. It covers fantastic. I often have a lot of trouble using gold to paint with gold. It just doesn't cover well for me. I have to keep going back and do several coats. But this Speed Paint is fantastic. It's like one coat and I'm done with it. Of all my Speed Paints, this is my favorite one. I'm going to use Secret Weapon Algae Wash, and this is going to give us that blue-green tinge to the skin. I think that, in my opinion, they're kind of like, almost like undead or like cyborg sort of, sickly skin, and I think that this greenish-blue tinge is going to work out really well. While that dries, I'm going to come in with Nuln Oil and just hit all of the metallic parts with this. And this is where I'm just putting this wash over all of the metal parts. And this is just going to help dull it down, get into all of the recesses, just help out with a lot of the shading. Once the skin wash is dried, I'm going to come back in with skeleton bone and a little bit more of that algae wash. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put both of them on my palette and kind of mix them and do a base coat a little bit darker with the two mixed together. And then as I go up to highlight, I'm going to move more to just straight skeleton bone. And when I'm highlighting, I'm just picking out like the tops of the muscles where the light's going to hit it. But I want to leave those nice recesses and lines in there. I want to leave those nice and dark, just so that there's a good contrast between the two. As one layer dries, I just come back in and do another layer a little bit lighter over top. I use Leadbelcher here to just come in and clean up a lot of the silver metallic parts on them and make any corrections, you know, if I overpainted something or if the wash got a little too heavy. But I'm just going to come in with this and just pick out the brightest parts where I want a little bit of shine on. For the gold headpiece, I'm using Auric Armor Gold, and this again, I'm just using this to hit the highlights and just put a little bit of a shine on it. And also you'll see, I also touched the base of the chainsword here. I noticed in the card art almost too late that that part's also gold or yellow. I also used this gold to just do a very, very, very light dry brush of it on the sphere that they're rolling around on, just enough to give it some kind of highlight. I don't want to go overboard. I'm not getting crazy with it or anything. This is a very light dry brush. I'm going to use electric blue here to pick out the ocular lenses and also all of the ports that these guys have on their bodies. There's quite a few of them. You just have to go around and pick them all out. But all it is I'm just putting a dot of this blue in the center of them. Now I'll use pure white, and I'm just going to put an even smaller dot on top of all of the blue dots. Nothing fancy, just get a small brush, a steady hand, and just put like just a little dot in there. It just adds like a little bit of shine to it, or a little bit of interest. And with that, we're already done with these guys. As I said, they're not very complicated, just a little bit time consuming picking out all of the different parts, but they look great. I'm really happy with how they came out. I love sort of the undead look to them, mixed with the cybernetics. They're just fun to have, and they're going to make a cool little squad to throw on the board. I'm excited to get them on there and get playing with them. But yeah, I'm happy with how they are. I don't know of anything that I would have done differently on them. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend picking them up and getting them painted. So with that, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that this inspires you to get some of your miniatures painted up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.